Hi, I'm Theron Q Ramacharaka. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel, whichever is the case for you. And welcome to this next episode of Turning Points, the sexual revolution. But first, if you like this video, then please give it a thumb up. I also humbly request that if you haven't done so already, and you like this channel, then please subscribe to it. Click on the notification bell, and share the joy of the Theron Q Ramacharaka channel with others. All right, those things having been requested, let's go. Excuse me. Turning points. The sexual revolution. The sexual revolution is commonly taken to have originated in the late 1960s, and in conjunction with the new wave of feminism at that same time. In this video, we briefly discuss their relationship with one another, the sexual revolution and feminism, as well as discuss their outer and then lesser-known inner aspects, and finally, their hidden roots. The feminist movement outwardly defines itself in terms of social, political, and economic equality of men and women. Women challenged their exclusion from politics and the workplace. And then, as the feminist movement took sway, women also questioned traditional sexual roles. Slightly differently, though, some historians maintain that the feminist movement, in fact, focusedly urged sexual liberation for women, both physically and psychologically. And these same historians further maintain that women's pursuit of sexual pleasure was the movement's core ideology, which then set the stage for female independence. Well, whichever is the case, the feminist movement and the sexual revolution ran hand in hand. The then radical concept at the core of the sexual revolution had it that women, just like men, enjoyed sex and had sexual needs. Feminists asserted that single women should have the same sexual freedoms as everyone else, and that the sexual revolution was about female sexual empowerment. Well, yeah, debate quickly arose over various associated social and moral phenomena. For example, social conservatives argued that the sexual revolution invited promiscuity, and that it correspondingly attacked a vital American social foundation, the family unit. Also, use of the new pill came into moral question, and it conveniently became scapegoat for female sexuality and premarital sex. And for many, the pill even took blame for the sexual revolution as a whole. The pill's breakthrough generated conservatives' greatest fear, for women can now separate sex from procreation, due to the risk of pregnancy having fallen away from not only single women's sexual activities, but also from married women's sexual affairs. Both single and married women could now have sex anytime, any place, with anyone, without pregnancy risk. All putting women in control of their sex lives. In a word, female sexual empowerment. Now, up to this point here in this video, what I've set forth mostly stands as common knowledge. Behind the scenes, however, we tend to miss something. We tend to miss that the sexual revolution has deeper and longer existing origins, and that perhaps at its roots, and also in its end, it has more to do with personal senses of well-being and identity than with anything else. We tend to miss this because we focus on the phenomena associated with the sexual revolution, which, in addition to the couple already mentioned, also include widespread changes in attitude toward premarital sex, toward homosexuality, abortion, our concept of modesty. See, the thing is, such focus often results in our failure to realize that these phenomena are actually symptoms of deeper social changes. The most notable of these deeper changes are those associated with what it means to attain human fulfillment. The sexual revolution turned on the notion that fulfillment boils down to personal psychological happiness, as well as to the notion that anything which gets in the way of that psychological state of happiness inherently oppresses us and prevents us from flourishing as human beings. And traditional sexual codes seemed to get in the way the most. This set of deeper changes manifested from at least 3 earlier states of affairs. 1, the psychologization of the self. That is, that human purpose is a psychological construct. This is a perception stretching back at least to the 18th and 19th centuries with Rousseau, the Romantics, and the related culture sometimes dubbed expressive individualism. Number 2, the sexualization of psychology at the hands of Sigmund Freud and his followers on the notion that our sexual desires and their physical satisfaction are our most basic tenets. And then there's a third, the politicizing of sex by the New Left, such that oppression gets redefined more in psychological terms than in economic terms. Well, these set the stage for debates about sex. And for them to become the big showdown known as the sexual revolution in connection with a massive movement for feminist empowerment in all social arenas, but most deeply the sexual arena and its intimate connection with perception of personal fulfillment. And this brings us to the root of the matter so far. The sexual revolution is about sexual behavior, yes. But fundamentally, it is about identity. As one writer has put it, once sexual desire has been made the foundational element of human identity, then debates about sex cease to be debates about how we act and become debates about who we are. For example, a group of people might therefore think that when they objected to homosexuality, they are objecting to certain sexual practices. What they are actually doing is objecting to certain identities. The sexual revolution is about identity and the legitimization of sexual behavior associated with identity. End of quote. Okay, where are we? Arising in the aftermath now are questions such as, is being female a biological condition or is it just a psychological state of identity? What about transgenderism in general? Or even more poignant, where does transhumanism stand? And if a person does not condone transhumanism, will he or she be deemed psychologically unfit or even socially dangerous? But reeling matters back in a bit. Other aftermath problems exist with sexual activity, such as with cybersex, the current hookup culture, or pornography, hand-downs from the sexual revolution. In other words, sex divorced from the context of a deep and meaningful prior relationship. Such sex tends at least to reduce itself to the selfish, personal pleasure of the moment. It also tends to transform partners from being ends in themselves to being means to an end. That latter, that's fundamentally dehumanizing in any context. Who likes to be someone else's means to an end? Do you? Today, in our culture of expressive individualism, we all like to think we're masters of our own identities. And we all tend to conceive of happiness in psychological terms. And this is what the sexual revolution was really all about. But just how well has it worked? You answer for yourself. Meanwhile, let's go back to the beginning here. Get right down to the bottom of affairs. And now, here, I feel certain that I will not win a popularity contest. Keep an open mind. And seek to understand various levels of the turning point known as the sexual revolution. We said that as the feminist movement took sway, women started challenging their exclusion from politics and the workplace, and they began to question traditional sexual roles. All right. Well, arguably here, but the feminist movement of the 1960s essentially actually arose from the United States government's agenda to collect income tax from women as well as from men. They did this by inciting women's battle cries for equality among the genders. What better state of affairs to take advantage of toward this end than to re-invoke women's feelings of being lesser than and to appeal to their sexuality? Now, from this perspective, the whole affair was a matter of society getting hoodwinked into being one big means to someone else's end, with both men and women now paying income tax. But moreover, what lies at the bottom of all the problematic debates over sex? In the first place, is the false belief that sex is for recreation and that it is so somehow on the grounds that sex, after all, is only natural. That sex, after all, is only natural is true, yes. But that has nothing to do with it being for recreation. Sex is not for recreation. Sex is for procreation. That is its nature. And that is its simple and obvious role in nature. And as most people know, going against nature eventually leads us to trouble. Big trouble, in fact. And is a matter of us hoodwinking ourselves. And taking sex, especially sex in any of the ways we've been talking about it here in Turning Points, the Sexual Revolution, taking sex to lie at the core of personal fulfillment and sense of identity is a huge blunder for those interested in bona fide personal attainment and in bona fide personal involvement and self-mastery. The true purpose of all life is to become more than what it is. That is what the entire universe is trying to do. And it doesn't work in that direction by just screwing around, pun intended, or by engaging in false ego, sense of identity pursuits. And if we were to play our natural and integral role in the living universe, then relentlessly seeking true selfhood and real self-mastery, above all else, is what unarguably lies before us to do. I'm Theron Q Ramacharaka. Be well.